Hello, beautiful family, and welcome to another week of Divine Soul Awakening. And in this show, it's going to be a real fun one because we are talking about pendulums, how to use pendulums, how to use dowsing, how to test with it, and even how to do muscle testing today. We brought in our very favorite, my most favorite guest, my wife, Rita Mustafa, who is a practicing dowser and pendulum user. She uses it in her daily business, and she works with people remotely all over the world in testing them and balancing them out with the pendulum. So today's going to be a really exciting, fun class. With regrets, Rachel and Christy are a little tied up today, so they will join us back next week. But other than that, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah. You look
Yeah.
so good.
Very well, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So glad to have you. So, for those of you that don't know, we are a group of psychics and spiritual mediums, and we've come together to raise humanity, just kind of show you what going into this ascension world is all about, and just to make the world a better place and make you all feel better as well. So, without further ado, today we're going to be talking about pendulums and how to do it. So,
You want to start with pendulums or muscle testing?
whatever
I feel like-
you say, you go.
I think I'll start with muscle testing, and then I think that'll be a natural progression to the pendulum.
Okay.
So so I haven't taught muscle testing, definitely not virtually, but I have taught it to small groups of clients, and I feel like muscle testing is a great way to kind of tap in to sort of your subconscious to get answers. And I like it because you can use it in so many instances, right? So you're at the store, you're trying to find a vitamin C as an example. There's 20 on the shelf. Which one do you pick? Do you pick the most expensive, the cheapest, the prettiest label? Like, how do you pick, right? So I find muscle testing is a really valuable tool to help you answer sometimes simple questions or just to help you make a decision. What should I do? Should I just start with what muscle testing is, maybe? Yeah. So, the way I describe muscle testing, it's basically a way to kind of, it's like a biofeedback system using your body. And so there's many different ways that you can muscle test. You can muscle test yourself. You can muscle test others. But I think I'll start with just the basics. So in terms of like how to teach ourselves how to muscle test. And the trick, whether we're muscle testing or using a pendulum, is to remember not to use our brain, right? Most of the time we want to pre-answer a question. Like we'll go back to the vitamin C example, right? So you see a bunch of vitamin C's, you're just going to pick one. Or you're going to sit there and in your mind, you're going to say, well, this one's more expensive, so that's probably the better one, right? So we're using our mind to kind of give us answers instead of intuitively feeling out the answer. So that's one thing. So I'll start with maybe just a basic practice on, if you're new to muscle testing, then just a basic practice of how to kind of just shift your energy inward so that we're not using the brain to answer questions, but we're actually asking our bodies to show us an answer. And so I think the easiest way to do that, okay, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so what I'll do is we'll do this little exercise together. So we're gonna sit and we're gonna just maybe just rest your hands on your lap or on a desk. And we're going to close our eyes and we're going to bring our energy inwards, and we're going to, without moving your hands, we're just going to keep them static, and we're going to bring our energy to our hands, right? So we're going to sit, it might take a few seconds for people, and it might take a little bit longer for others, depending on how new you are to this. So let's just do that. So we're going to close our eyes. We're going to bring our energy inwards, and we're going to focus on our hands. But we're not moving our hands. We're not rubbing our fingers. We're doing nothing. We're just keeping our hands static. And we're going to wait until we sense our hands. And for myself, I am sensing my hands. I'm also sensing that they are. So I practice craniosacral therapy, and it's already checking my rhythm. So that's just what I'm sensing. So some of you might just sense the palm of your hand, and that's fine. Some of you might just sense like a heaviness of your hand.
Mine is a pulsating. I'm feeling.
Pulsating, yeah.
Yep. And heat.
Okay, good.
Heat.
Heat, yeah. So heat, yeah, that's a good one too. So there's no right answer. It's just whatever you feel. So that little exercise of bringing your energy inwards towards your hands, that's basically what we're trying to do, whether we're going to be muscle testing or whether we're going to be using our pendulum. So we're trying to not use our brain, but use our body to tell us.
And that's pretty much really in line with the mediumship work that we do, because that's all about getting yourself out of your body.
Yeah.
So does it also help, like maybe even doing like just a grounding meditation, getting quiet, getting inside your heart, and just feeling?
Yeah. So whatever resonates with you. So I'm usually working with people that are brand new to this. Like heart centering doesn't mean, you know what I mean? It means something to us, but for newer people, it might not resonate. So so it's basically anything that centers you or brings you inwards. That's sort of the feeling that you want to get into.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Before you attempt to do any type of muscle testing on yourself or others. And with that exercise, so again, if I was working with people that are newer to this type of modality, then I would continue that exercise and then have them, feel in each individual digit. So again, bring that energy inwards, feel your hands. When you're there, whether you feel pulsating, heat, heaviness, whatever you may feel. So now we're going to go a little step further, and it's like, okay, bring your attention to your thumbs. So can you, again, without moving your hands, can you bring your attention to your thumbs? And then your index finger. And then your middle finger. Your ring finger. And then your baby finger. So for me, I'm now just feeling a pulsing in my whole hand, including the fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got that similar feeling, just being able to feel everything.
Yeah, perfect. And again, if I were working with clients, I would also do this exercise with the feet. So now we're going a little bit deeper, and we're like, okay, so now we're going to do the same exercise with our feet. Can we feel our feet? Can we feel each individual digits on our feet? And and actually, this is a really good exercise for people who have trouble sleeping, that are like overthinkers. Sometimes I have them just do that exercise over and over, right? So bring your attention inwards, feel different body parts, and for a lot of people, that actually can help them fall asleep better, faster. Anybody feel anything?
Yeah, I had the tingling in the digits. It's very similar to what happens when I'm in a Reiki session, because I'm using the hands for the
Yes.
heat.
Yeah.
Rita says she's feeling heat with her fingers.
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's how you get into the mode of just being ready to do your muscle testing or your pendulum testing. Mm-hmm. So what should we do next? So my thought is I'm going to teach you, or I'm going to show you some different ways of how to use muscle testing for ourselves, and then and there's so many different muscle testing techniques. I'm going to show you a few. There might be other people that have other ways of doing it, and Those are all fine. We're not going to most likely resonate with every technique I show you. So just pick a few that kind of resonate with you. And then if you want to use muscle testing, then use those particular techniques. So probably one of the easiest ones or the most popular ones is the looping of the fingers. So you loop or touch your index finger to your thumb, and then do the same with the other hand, except you're looping them together. Okay, I'll start here. So we're going to do that. So always we need to know what a yes looks like and what a no looks like. So we don't just go right into like testing our vitamin C without making sure that we are actually balanced. So sometimes our yeses and nos get mixed up, and that's just because our body's out of balance. But so we're going to start with the simple one. So we're going to loop our fingers, and we're going to try to separate. So we're going to ask the body. So again, we're going to ask a question, and we're going to try to pull apart. So I'm going to say, show me a yes, and I'm trying to break the loop, and I can't. And if I say show me no, there was a weakness, and so it's separated. Okay, so that's one that you can try. So so again, go inside. Don't look for an answer. Approach this from a position of curiosity. Just be curious. What's my body going to tell me? Show me yes, look strong. Show me no, and the circuit breaks. So there's a weakness, and the circuit breaks. So for some people, the index and the thumb might not be what works for them. Other people, maybe it's the middle finger and the thumb. And maybe that's what works for them, or another set of fingers. So just kind of go through and see if you can get two different reactions. So for me, the thumb and the index finger, yes and no works. If I do middle finger and thumb, yes, no, I get the same answer. So that doesn't work for me. If I do middle finger or ring finger and thumb, and I ask for yes and no, so I get, it doesn't work. I don't get two different answers. So for me, the thumb and the index on both hands works for me. Did that work for anybody else?
They worked all three actually for me.
Great.
Yeah. It was interesting.
So
Joel says both combinations worked.
Perfect. Yeah, so you have different options, right? So if one doesn't work, just try another set of fingers and see if you can get any of those to work for you.
So this really comes down, feels like when we do our regular practice, it's the same thing, having enough hydration in the system, having a calm mind, and then asking the testing, show me a yes, show me a no, whether you're doing it through the muscle or even just kind of feeling in your body. It really is just the practice that goes along with it, but the principles are the same.
Yeah. So it's all of that. It's tuning in. Exactly.
It's energy.
We're using our subconscious to kind of help us with the answers.
Loretta says she gets confused with that way and is not sure if I'm doing it when I ask no or yes. So maybe she's too much in the head and not letting.
Right. So if it's getting confusing or you're getting different answer, like you're not getting the same responses each time you're doing it, then so you could be overthinking. You might be dehydrated. Maybe it's just the energy in the room is not correct at this point. So it could be a number of things.
Drink your juice.
Drink your juice. There you go.
And Karen's saying, so you ask the question internally and then do that pull. Doesn't have to be internally though, does it?
No, you can say it out loud. So how I was showing it, I can say yes, show me a yes, show me a no. Yeah. And then we can practice. So I can say, is my name Rita? I can say, is that a yes or no? So I get a yes because it doesn't break the what's the word? Break the connection. Connection.
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
So then if I say, is my name Bob, like right away, I didn't even have to finish the question. It was already like a weakness.
It's funny when you said, is my name Rita? And I did it, my hands popped. Because I was thinking I'm asking my name and I popped it out. I was like, wait a minit. That was supposed to be a yes. Oh, wait, my name's not Rita.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it works. Wow. It really works.
Right. So a simple question is a good way to see if you're actually ready to do the more muscle testing, right? So if you can say, is my name Rita, and get a yes, or say show me yes, show me no, and you get the correct responses, then you could probably continue on with whatever you want to test. But if I say, is my name Rita, and I get a no, well then I need to figure out why that's not working for me. So maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe I'm stressed right now, or whatever, need water or fresh air or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to look in my little book here because it's been a while since I taught this. So I'm going to show a few more using the fingers. So we're going to use the index and the thumb again. And this time we're going to sort of like do a pinching motion, and we're going to try to separate the fingers. Okay? So I'm going to say, show me yes, and show me no. So then it weakens, and my thumb and index finger open up.
Yeah.
So show me yes, show me, yeah. So for me, that one works. And again, if that doesn't work, try a different set of fingers. Maybe the middle and the thumb works better. Show me yes, show me no. That didn't work for me. No. So for me, it's pretty steady. It's the index and the thumb. Mm-hmm. And that one works for me. So that's very similar. And then another one using the same kind of set of fingers, the index and the thumb. And then we're just going to try to just push our finger right through. So again, show me yes, can't get through. Show me no, goes right through. And again, if you're right-handed or left-handed, that might look different, right? So I'm using my dominant hand to try and break the connection.
But you don't want to use a lot of pressure. You're not really forcing it. How much pressure are you actually using?
I don't know if I can measure. I'm putting a lot of pressure on my left hand, my non-dominant hand, because I'm really trying to like stop that connection. But when it's a no answer, even as hard, even as much as I want to like not stop that connection, it will weaken. It's weakened and it'll go through. So you do want some sort of, enough of strength there that you want to be able to know the difference or feel the difference. So again, that one, any set of fingers, yes, no. Oh, that one worked. So for me, for this particular one, it doesn't matter what set of fingers I use. I can get a yes and a proper yes and a proper no.
Now, I don't really have the strongest left hand,
Right.
and that tired me out quite a bit.
Okay.
In doing that, what's another option?
Okay, so let's do some that doesn't require strength per se. So there's one that I use regularly. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, so I'm going to use my leg or my knee. So I'm using my index finger, my middle finger, and I'm just rubbing. So I'm using my leg here, but you can use a desk or whatever. So I'm rubbing back and forth. So again, I'm asking inside my head, or you can say it out loud. You can say, show me a yes. And for me, that just continues the rubbing of the forwards and backwards. So again, if I say, now show me a no, so what happens is I'm still doing this, but energetically, I can feel like in my arm, like my hand wants to do this. So it's this feeling of like, yes, up and down, but also it wants to turn. So that's my indicator of yes and no. So I can say yes. So is my name Rita? Show me yes or no. So it's a yes. And then is my name Bob? And then I can literally feel it in my forearm that the muscles are wanting me to not go straight up and down.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I do that, if I'm going back and forth, when I say no, it ends up doing a circle.
Does it? My fingers separated.
Okay.
Instead of going, and then when it was no, they came right apart. Kept moving, but they were apart.
Yeah. So And these are great. Great that you're showing different ways of doing it, because it's not just one. It's not just one thing. It's not. I've done a few courses with other people because I like to see how other people teach it. And some people are just very strict, like, it's either this or this. Those are the answers. And it's like, but we're all so different. Our bodies are going to show us in different ways. So just pay attention to how your body's showing you the difference between a yes and a no. And yes and no doesn't have to be yes and no. It could be positive or negative, or stronger or weaker, right? So as long as it's like opposite wording. So if I want to know, so yes and no is obvious, but what else can I use? So like, stronger or weaker, maybe. So I can say, let me pick up something.
It's typically the yes/no question, right?
It's usually yes or no.
So, like, if we had these,
Okay, so there's some vitamins here. So I can ask in this particular case. So with this supplement, strengthen my body or weaken my body, right? So strengthen would be my yes. So whatever my indicator for yes was, and weaken would be my no. So then I always close my eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. It's just how I do it. So I'm going to say, does it strengthen or weaken? So strengthen, yes or no. So I get a yes.
I'm going to touch you while you hold it.
Okay.
What is it? Vitamins? Gummy? Is the vitamins good for me?
Fruit and veggie
Okay.
gummy.
Well, the fruit and veggie gummy strengthen my system. I'm getting a yes. It's not changing for my yes. Will it hurt my system? And now I'm getting a no. The fingers are going in a circle.
In a circle.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I wasn't actually touching it. I had my hand on Rita's shoulder, and she was holding it. So she was we have an energetic connection. So she was my surrogate as it did that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter whether it's yourself or your baby or your pet, or if someone comes to you and they're holding something, that you can test them without actually touching that item.
Yeah. So, and if someone's like, a distance, so over the phone or something, so you can do the same thing. As long as you're kind of going inside and waiting for an answer or being curious about the answer instead of answering the question, then yeah, just always have the yes and no's. And I do it often. So even if I'm speaking with someone or working with someone for like, I don't know, half an hour, I don't just do yes and no at the very beginning and then just assume that it's my yes and no is always, is correct, because there might be information that someone says to me that actually affects how I interpret that information or how my body reacted to that information. So that could turn my yes and no around or off, or can turn my energy off. And so I might be getting wrong. I might be getting wrong answers. So every so often I'll just really quickly just say, show me yes, show me no. So that I know I'm in the proper setting. I'm ready to be doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah. So back to your question about if you don't have the strength. So this one, the rubbing, I use this often.
Sounds good.
And another one, which is actually really similar, is you can just put your whole hand on a body part. So again, you can use your leg. I'm just going to use my chest because it's easier to see. And same thing, you're going to say, show me a yes. And focusing on the hand, what do you feel in your hand? What do you feel of the tissue underneath your hand?
A lot of heat.
You feel heat, okay. And then, so for me, I feel my yes is just an energetic feeling of up and down. That's my yes. Okay, so now let's do the same, but let's say, show me a no.
It's interesting.
So for me, it's a very strong right to left, or left to right kind of feeling.
For me, I felt my yes felt like my muscles were expanding. The fibers were actually stretching, and when I said a no, they contracted, like they came in. I feel that's really interesting.
So think about that for if you're even wanted to do different body parts. So let's say you wanted to maybe go through your chakras, right? So you can kind of do that, like put your hands on a certain chakra. Instead of saying yes or no, you can say, is this chakra harmonized? Is this chakra open? Right? So you can ask that kind of question. So you can kind of go through and just kind of see, well, which ones give you that yes or no feeling, and that can tell you whether it's open or closed or whatever your question was. So harmonized, that kind of thing.
So Alyssa's saying, I have a friend that muscle tests. She'll put one pill in her hand and test, then two, then test, then three, etc.
Yeah, so you can do that too if you're trying to. I'll go back to the vitamin C example. So let's say you've chosen a vitamin C off the shelf, and now you want to ask your body, how much would your body benefit, or how much does your body need? It's not that your body doesn't need it. The body needs vitamin C, so that's not a very clear answer. But more, maybe I would ask something like, would my body benefit from one vitamin C capsule or something? Or would my body benefit from two? Right? So you can physically do it with the pills, but if you're in the store and you're not going to open a bottle, so you can ask yourself, right? So, okay, let's say I've tested, this is the vitamin C that I want, and I can ask myself, would my body benefit from taking one? And I can wait for an answer. So I get a yes. If I get a yes, okay, great. So would my body benefit from taking two? I get no. So and any of those techniques you can be doing. So you can just look at the bottle and ask the question. You can put the bottle under your arm and you can say like, okay, how many do I need? Would my body benefit from one? Yes. Would my body benefit from two? No. So I only need one in this case. So you can. There's many ways you can do it. So sometimes when I have clients and I'm trying to balance a certain area of the body, and I don't have a big dispensary of stuff. Sometimes I have to actually just look at, like I might have to go online and look at a product and look at the ingredients. And then I would muscle test just based on the ingredients of the product. Because not everything's always handy, right? So you can just use your, what's the word I'm looking for? Not intuition, but you can use your intention. So my intention is, based on this product I'm looking at, do the ingredients, match with this person or benefit this person, or will it benefit this person?
So June is saying, I think I'm DOA. I don't feel anything different.
Okay. So just like anything else, it takes practice, right? So if you go back to that original exercise of going inwards and waiting to feel just feel your hands, not even your digits of the hands, just your hands in general.
Right.
So practice that over and over. And then the more you do it, then you can go, and ask about, can I feel my thumbs? Can I feel my index finger? So it's a lot of practice. It doesn't come easy to everyone. And the more you practice it, the easier it will become. So in the beginning, my clients find that, they'll do it every morning when they're choosing their supplements. So they might have, 3 or 4 things they take every morning. So they'll do their own muscle testing, whatever technique works for them. And they'll ask the body, would my body benefit from taking X today? Would my body benefit from taking Y today?
Very much like our mediumship work. This is all the same thing, the energy, practicing with energy, and our yeses and nos, whether we're using our own clairs, clairsentience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, audience. It's all the kind of same thing. It comes back to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The doc is in deep practice, or he's starting to fall asleep.
Mic is off.
No, I'm listening again. What I notice with me is that I can sense the muscles changing within my mediastinum and my sternum, and it's a different sensation. The one thing I just like to share is I find if I use more than one technique, so crown expansion, putting my hand over something, and also the heart expansion, it's very useful to get that synchronicity of result. It makes a big difference. But I love this technique. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So like you said, like the finger one doesn't resonate with me. I'm not a big fan of it, but the 2 fingers rubbing works really well. And for me, the standing one is really good, where you just stand in one place and you ask a yes or a no. And for me, a yes, my body leans forward, and a no leans back. And the more fiercely it moves, the harder it is, or the quicker I move forward, the more of a stronger yes. So is this vitamin a benefit to me? And as I hold it to my chest and I get a really big swinging, I almost want to fall flat down. Okay, it's a really strong yes. But it's a really gentle little lean forward. It's okay, but it's not really the best. So I think that'd be the difference between holding 2 products that both are good for you, but one might be better than the other.
Yeah.
I also find that if I have a moment, I try to go into the 0 point, and then that is really a really helpful way of just totally, nothing. You're in a space where nothing is coming from you, and then I'm in a greater. I have a greater way of discerning these subtle changes, which is quite. It took me a while to get the hang of that, but once you get there, it actually works really well.
So what's 0 point for those that are
for me, it's when I completely empty my mind and I go to a particular spot. Actually, it's very close to where the pineal gland is, and my focus and my attention is there. And as time goes by, it's easier and easier to do this. And I find it really, really helpful, because it means I know that it's not internal. I won't say not internal, but I'm not influencing the answer, basically, which is the key.
Right.
Yeah. Khan's technique for me, the forward and backward, it works very well.
Yeah, so that's the standing pendulum. So when you're standing up straight, should I show it or? Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm standing straight. So, and again, this is how I do it, and I don't know why I do it this way, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. So you're standing straight, my eyes are closed. I'm again turning my energy inwards, and maybe having my hand on my heart. Maybe that's what I'm doing to kind of focus inwards. And I just stand and again approach it with a curiosity. Like don't pick an answer. Just be curious and say, "Show me yes." And for most people, it's not everybody, but for most people, they usually will kind of sway forward. And then again, do it for a no, and then usually most people will swing backwards. For me, actually, I do swing forward for my yes, but I actually go back into the left for my no.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's my no. So as long as you're getting 2 different answers and they're the same each time you're doing it, right? Yeah. So that's the standing pendulum. And that's a good one within the store, within like a store also. So you're standing in front of the vitamin C, you're just asking yourself, maybe you're thinking of a vitamin C that you want to pick, and you're standing there. And most of the time people aren't really going to notice too much that you're standing there and just waiting for a yes or no, right? So that's just another way of doing it. And I find the standing pendulum surprises people, because they don't, again, if you're newer to this, you might not think like you get it, or your body doesn't get this. Like how are you doing this? But usually the standing pendulum surprises people, because their body actually does do something.
Yeah.
Right? So, but it comes with practice. So out of all of these little techniques I've showed you right now, maybe one is the one that works the best for you, but some other people can do all of them and they all work. Right. So it's just finding which one resonates and works best with you. So if one doesn't work for you, don't worry. Just try another one.
Yeah. I was at a fair trying to my very first pendulum, which is kind of ironic about what we're talking about today, had 2 pendulums in my hand. I couldn't decide between the 2. And the lady said, try the forward backward thing. And that was the first time it
really
hit the no. I almost fell right over on it. And I went, okay, now I know who's coming home with me.
Yeah.
It was really
awesome.
Yeah.
So that goes again something about buying certain things online compared to going into a store or a fair or having it physically in front of you. There's definitely a difference about what you get.
Yeah, I find like with crystals, I guess even a pendulum, like energetically, who knows what that energy is when you get it, right?
Well,
So
I wonder because I know when I got my first deck of angel cards, I bought it off Amazon. And as I went on Amazon, I just kind of looked at all the pictures and said, okay, that's the one I want to get. And I saw the Kyle Grigget. So my intention was this was the one I needed. This is the right one. But because my intention was to buy it through Amazon, I was going to get the right one compared to whether I was in a physical store and get it. Whereas, let's say you just go to a shop, I need a crystal or I need an angel deck, and you just go in and pick something without feeling and connecting your intention. Even as buying a gift for somebody else, if I was going to be, let's say, gifting Doc or something, and I was going to buy it online, then really my intention would be, I want to get something really good for Doc. It's for his greatest good. Like which one it's going to be, and then that was going to energetically pop up for you.
yeah, intention is huge, right?
Right.
Because intention is energy.
One of the things I noticed, there was a time when I used to go shopping and just see where my eye was drawn to, what my eye was drawn to, and I would find that if I sort of, I don't know, say it's a bunch of apples or something, and then I'd use my hand as well, and my hand would also contract and change with the apple that my eye was drawn to, or something like that. And again, it's the reason why I'm saying this is that sometimes you need that synchronicity of response to be sure that you're getting the same answer. Rather, you're not too sure. Oh, is it just me, or is it just this particular way? But when you get this synergy of responses, it's actually really helpful because at least your focus is going towards the correct answer, whatever that is. Yeah.
That's a really good point, Doc. Because I mean, even just that again falls in line with our mediumship, that and even the healing work that we're doing on our own bodies. It's trusting and letting go of the doubt in everything that we do in all of this, any type of energy work. It's all about letting go of that self-doubt, because that's the biggest thing. It always holds us back, that we question it, our brains start getting active, and that's the part that we're trying to get away from. And as you said, Doc, and you go into the 0 point, you go into the quiet area, and just become really still before you make that decision. And that's the whole idea about, again, going back to the base root of meditation, spending time in the now, spending time with the pendulum work. It's all about practicing being in the present moment and not letting your mind get overly active and letting go of that self-doubt. This is a constant practice of what we're doing.
Yeah. The only problem I have is when what I come back from the shops with doesn't match up with a list I've been given by She. And then I'm in deep trouble.
Yeah.
Why did you buy this pineapple?
That's another story.
Oh yeah, I can tell you that.
It told me yes, I heard it.
Yeah. You save that one for therapy, Doc.
The avocado was speaking to me.
You did it again. I said vegetables.
Soul Transmission says, I find out when I wish to buy fruit that the fruit I should choose glows. The other remains flat in color. That's really cool.
Very cool. That's
Yeah,
very
it's
strong
the aura.
clairvoyance.
Yeah, it's like the aura of the fruit, right?
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
And I find the more that we're all practicing in any and all of this, the more different abilities just kind of pop up. It's a natural progression, and this is why I say this isn't a race. It's not about wanting or desiring. You just let it go and let it happen bit by bit.
Doc's getting confirmation.
Yeah. It's okay. You might want to take a screenshot of this, Doc, and save it to your wife. See, it's not just me.
The really tricky time is if you go to a market where I don't know whether you've been to some of this. Certainly when we went to Spain, there are these huge markets. Like in Barcelona, there's this place called Las Ramblas, and it's like the most technicolor, multicolor market space you could ever see, with all sorts of fruits and colors and everything. And it's once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite easy. But it's like being assaulted by all of this color, and you're trying to figure out which is the pomegranate you're supposed to pick up.
Right.
Amongst all this stuff. But it just takes a while to get the hang of it.
Love that. Love that. So that's muscle testing. What
Yeah.
what other tricks do you got? with pendulum?
You want me to go to pendulums?
Or yeah, what else you got?
I don't know. Muscle test. Okay, what about muscle testing someone else?
Okay.
So, and then we'll move on to pendulum. So, so let's say you want to muscle test a child, a spouse, an animal, like your pet. So you can use any of those techniques we talked about. So I don't know if I'd say the difference would be that your intention is shifting to the other person. So if I'm testing Khan and I want to test him for this, first I'll do my yes and no. Show me a yes, show me a no. So that's me. I'm testing me first. And then I want to know if I'm actually in tune with you, or that I'm resonating with you, or, because it could be two people in the room and I might be reading somebody else. So I want to make sure I'm talking to you. So then, again, I go inside and I'm actually sending you energy,
Okay.
love, whatever that means to you. So for me, I'm sending the person I want to work on, or the animal I want to work on, I'm sending them energy. So then I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask my yes, no again, meaning I'm asking his permission now. So do I have permission to test you? So yes or no. So I get a yes. So now when I'm asking questions in regards to the person I'm working on, it's almost like the energy is just totally flowing. So it's not like I'm waiting for my body to answer. I'm actually I feel like the energy is flowing to the person or to the thing that I'm testing. And then again, in that curious state, waiting for an answer, but it's not necessarily my body that's answering the question.
So you're just putting your attention on me?
I'm sending my energy to you because I want to connect to you.
Okay.
Right? And I guess subconsciously I'm feeling your answer.
Okay.
So I don't know if that makes sense. That could be confusing. So
you're connecting.
I'm just connecting with you. So whatever that means for you, right? So for me, connecting with you means I'm sending energy to you, and that's how I'm connecting to you. And I'm actually waiting for an answer, but I think the answer is coming from you. It's not coming from me.
Okay.
Is that weird? Am I not explaining it correctly?
Okay.
Okay, so that's the difference. When you're testing somebody else, you need to connect with the other person and then check yourself first, yes or no, ask their permission verbally or through your yes and no's, through your techniques, and then ask the question and get the answers, right?
So again, I'm going to hold this.
Yeah, so I'm going to connect so would Khan benefit by taking this supplement? So yes or no? I actually get a no.
Okay.
So
No fruit and veg fiber gummies for me. These are hers anyway. She doesn't let me eat them. Or she does, but I just don't for whatever reason. So
Because you don't need them.
the universe is answered. So does it ever happen that you have my permission, but you get a no when you test if you can connect? So you ask the question, can I work on you? Can I connect with you? Do you ever get, I've just said, yeah, sure you can. Or I said, yes, you can, but really,
yeah, you're
got
saying
that
yes,
energetic
but
wall.
you're energetically
Yeah,
saying
does that
no.
ever happen?
Yeah, it does happen. I actually it's actually a dog client that never lets me test them. And the owners, the owners will say, no, I've talked to the dog knows. And it's like, and there's two dogs in this family, and the other dog lets me test it whenever it needs to be tested. And the sibling is just always a no. So we have to get on the phone. I have to talk to the dog. I have to say, I'm your mom wants me to test you. And then, sometimes I hear it panting. It's like, okay, so let me try. So sometimes the answer is no, even though in this case, the dog's owner is like totally a yes. Like, yeah, go ahead. That's why I called you. I need to know, right? But the dog itself is saying no. I can't think of a person that has done that to me, but I'm sure there has been examples. I just can't think of one. But yeah, it's possible.
So I would think it's the same thing of let's say we have someone that's reluctant about mediumship, getting a reading, and let's say you're working with one person, but their partner is really closed off to the entire idea about it.
Yeah.
And there's like, no, test so-and-so, test so-and-so. And they'll be like, I don't know, I guess they had to have their permission to really be open to it rather than not. I mean, there's no sense if someone's not open to a reading because we're connecting energetically, there's no reason for it. It sounds like the same thing here. If they're not open to it, they're not going to benefit, or you're really not going to be able to connect and test them properly.
Yeah.
What would happen if you test them and they're not open to it?
I think you would just get incorrect answers.
You can't trust any of it.
I don't trust it, no, because I'll ask the question in multiple ways. So like we'll go back to the supplement here. So does this person need this? And I'll get a yes one time, and it's like, okay, well, I might ask it a different way also, like, would the person benefit from taking this every day? And then I'll get like a no, and then I'll come back and it's like, are you sure this person would benefit from taking this? And I get no, like just incorrect answers. It's just, you can't trust the answers. So it's better just not to give a reply at that point until they're ready.
Yeah, this speaks similar to what you're talking about too. I've been given a blank screen in my mind when I don't have higher self permission, even though the person said yes. That's what I was going to ask you. Are you ultimately connecting with the higher self of somebody, or can there be the energetic block between the body and the higher self with you?
Yeah, and I think the more you do it, you just recognize it. So even doing like energy work, Reiki as an example. So, even though my friend has given me permission to work on her, sometimes I'll go in to go work on her and it's like nothing's happening. So it's a no. So it's okay, I'll back off. And then, this morning I tried and I was able to do it. So I was like, sometimes it's not up to us to, we're not gonna be able to do it all the time. It has to be mutual kind of
And I find as an empath, you kind of always knew that, and you know it more. You can really sense when someone's working with you or not, connect with you.
Because you can still send them love or whatever energy. What you can still just send them energy, whether they take it or not is totally up to them, right?
Yeah, you can give a gift to anybody, but it's whether they receive it or not.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That's what Alyssa's saying too. It's a two-way phone call. The person has to answer the
That's
phone.
a good analogy too. Yeah, great analogy.
That's a good one.
Really good. Really good.
I find whenever I'm sort of doing a reading or anything, the first thing I say to people, well, not the first thing, but one of the things I say to them is, I need you to give me permission to contact your higher self. And once they say that, I find there's no barriers whatsoever. So I can immediately feel the energy levels clicking and then they start talking. But it's part of the patois that I've sort of used now with my readings, and it always works well. Touch wood anyway.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with my Reiki clients too. I always ask permission in the beginning of whether, what do they want to hear? What do they want? What's their intention? Session,
See, that's something I don't do, because typically people are asking me questions or they come to me for a healing. It's like I've already connected with them. Universally, they've come to me for a reason and they're asking me the question anyway. So I don't even ask permission. It's kind of implied for me that they're just giving it. Now, I do know that we've done a lot of the free readings or the free healings, and people might win something and they'll just come through and go through the process. I can usually feel whether they're resistant or they're new to this. there's a certain resistance to it. Even though they say, yeah, it was great, but you still know that, yeah, okay, well, I know it wasn't the deepest healing that you've gone through, the emotional release, because I can really feel that connection isn't necessarily there. It's not that strong. Yeah, very cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to pendulum or dowsing. So dowsing, so that's my main modality. I don't really use too much muscle testing other than the rubbing back and forth. If I'm out and about, I don't always just want to pull out my pendulum. Dowsing, again, is another tool, just like all the muscle testing is a tool. And you can use different things to dowse. So dowsing, think of dowsing as a term for searching for answers or searching for something. So different tools. So I've got different examples here. So this one, these are dowsing rods, so you can see maybe. So basically, they're kind of free-floating rods. And most people know these for people who divine water or dowse for looking for water or different minerals or ores, which is in history, a lot of people have been known as dowsers or probably a dowser, and they would use this kind of tool to go out and seek different things or find different things. This doesn't work for me, as you can see. They just kind of go all over the place. So I don't resonate with dowsing rods, but you can use them again for yes, no. So maybe a yes would be, or maybe a yes would be come together, and a no would be farther apart, or vice versa. Yeah. But again, no, it doesn't work for me.
Antennas, they reminded me of antennas going.
Yeah. So they kind of just do what they want. So I could spend time and practice, but I don't care to. I have other tools that I use. So, but this is one way. Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
It's just a secondhand thing that somebody told me, and it may be worth reflecting on. Long story short, totally unawakened person went on a dowsing course, and they were all the students were sat around an individual, and then they all took out their dowsing rods and they're all going all over the place. So the teacher then said, "Now I want you to project love on the person in the center." And the minute they did that, all the dowsing rods are lined up facing the individual.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing that I just want to reflect back to you, is that they then said to the individual, "Now turn on your mobile phone," and all the dowsing rods went off beam again. So now I haven't seen that. I've only heard it secondhand, but the person who tells me, I trust implicitly. I've known them professionally. So it's just something just to bear in mind, that there may be other things going on around you, and we live in a electromagnetic soup in our homes, covered with routers and phones and all the rest of it. So it may be, just maybe, that we just need to have a sort of clean environment where you try to apply these techniques, particularly with the dowsing rods, I guess, because of their electromagnetic properties with the copper wire, So it might be something to bear in mind. Okay, but over to you, Rita.
My guides are telling me, Rita, that you're not giving your dowsing rods enough love.
I
You're loud and clear.
Because the pendulum comes so easy, I get frustrated with the rods, because the rods are they're just all over the place, right? So I just don't spend enough time with them. But it's because other tools are easier for me.
I think Doctor,
maybe I will practice.
It's all about the heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Spirit Butterfly is saying, "I really want to try these. Do you find them hard to work with?" Well,
I do, but
yeah,
everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely a great story, Doc.
Okay, here's another tool. This is called a bobber. So again, it's a metal rod, has a little something on the end, and it's kind of coiled and just set into like a piece of wood. And so the bobber I do like. So I'm just holding my hand still. I'm not moving it. And again, I can say, show me yes. And it's kind of just bobbing up and down. And I'm going to say, show me no. So it's changing direction. So it's back and forth. That's my yes and no.
Yeah,
The bobber does work for me. Right. And this is a good one for kids. Kids love this one when I bring it out and I just say, oh, just practice, and show me yes and no. And then, put like 3 supplements on the table and let them pick like which one is going to be best for you. Right. And then let them play with this. They love the bobber. The bobber is really cool. It's a great place to start if you're kind of new to all of this and you want like a tool to try. This is very cool.
Very cool.
I love the bobber.
Yeah. It's a fun.
Yeah.
Alyssa's saying we shouldn't force ourselves to be good at a skill or use a tool or technique. Everyone is truly guided to different directions. Don't compare yourself. That is so true.
It is true. Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah. Okay, and then that brings us to an actual pendulum. Actually, let me grab my pendulum.
This one's my favorite.
So I wear my pendulums all the time. So they're in my pockets or in little medicine pouches if I don't have pockets. But okay, so a pendulum is basically an object on a string, a chain, and again, it's going to be a tool to help us get answers. So sometimes people will ask like, how do you pick a pendulum? So back to Jenny's story. You should really let it pick you, but if you're really unsure, don't know anything about how to do this yet, at least pick something that you're attracted to, right? So if you see, usually they're hanging in the stores, there'll be a bunch of different pendulums all hanging, and doesn't matter, could be a crystal, could be wood, could be metal, you could even make your own. So whatever sort of resonates with you. The other thing you can do if you do want to practice some of the muscle testing techniques that we've tried, so the standing one, so you can put a pendulum in your hand. I do this. You don't have to do this. And then again, wait for your body to show you yes or no. My intention when I'm buying them is with this. What do I ask? I ask. Basically, I'm asking who wants to help me with my work. So who wants to be my friend? I don't know. Who's going to help me with my work, right? So I'm actually going in with an intention. And so I'll kind of just do my yes and no. Sometimes I'll actually pick up the pendulum when I'm at the store and I just, again, have that intention, which one wants to come and work with me. And then I ask for it to show me a yes and no. So I might have picked 3 that I resonated with, but then the final test is, will they show me a yes and no without being cleaned or anything like that yet? So that's how I pick my pendulums.
So a pendulum is usually just something on a string. So
basically, yeah. So it's something weighted. I find I like something that has a little bit of a weight to it, and that works the best for me. Again, it doesn't have to be a crystal. One time I was working had a client coming and I couldn't find my pendulum. I couldn't find a replacement pendulum. And I had this Christmas ornament hanging from my window. And this was a pendulum I was using. And it gave me a yes and it gave me a no. So it's working, right? So this is probably glass and it is hanging from something. So it has the ability to swing. And that's what I used. You can also
be like your necklace then or something.
Could be a necklace. Like if you go to the metaphysical stores, you can buy these little cages. So it's like it's just a metal kind of cage. I don't know if you can see that. And then you just put whatever you want in there. So in this case, I have my probably clear quartz. This is probably a clear quartz. So And then I can try, and then, have a chain, show me a yes, show me no. So that works for me. And then sometimes I have multiple pendulums. So this is my this one, amethyst. So my amethyst isn't working for me lately, so that's okay. So sometimes when you're done with a certain pendulum, it'll either disappear, it'll break, or it just doesn't give you the yes/no answers that you're used to. So it's just time to move on, find something else that resonates with you. So
I just noticed yours it's a clasp that you have at the end of a chain,
Yeah.
and you're just moving it from object to object and just clipping them on. So it really isn't about the chain. The chain is really just any chain that you have. You have a
could be a
clasp.
string, could be a necklace, could be, it doesn't matter, as long as it can swing from something, and and you can get to a yes and a no, whatever that means. So for me, my yes, when I say show me a yes, it swings back and forth, like forwards and backwards. When I say show me a no, it changes direction, and it actually is going from left to right or right to left.
Okay, so let's go back to basics then. So we've got a pendulum. Yeah, the best way to hold it. Perfect timing, Loretta. So we have a pendulum. It's on a string. How do you hold it? Do you hold it at the top? Do you hold it in the middle? How do you hold the pendulum properly?
Okay, so I'll show you how I hold it. I like a shorter chain. So and so some people have a longer chain. I find if can I try yours?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if I can get an answer with a longer chain. So
usually don't share your pendulums with
Yeah.
people. There's energy that's being exchanged there. But
okay, so I am getting a yes and no, but it's just taking a lot longer, right? So show me a yes, it's like, okay, yes, now show me a no. Right? So it finally changed. So to me, it's find what's comfortable for you. If I go shorter, let me see if I get so my yes was like right away, and then my no changed right away. So I can feel the answer quicker with a shorter chain as opposed to a longer chain.
Yeah.
But that's what works for me.
Rita, I have a pendulum that has, I wish I had brought it out, but it has a weight on the bottom, which is actually a fairy figure. Then it has crystals that come up with a little chain, and then more crystals, and it has a ball on the end. So I can use either end of it. And the way it's made is to lay across my hand so that there's no way that less chance of me interrupting and coming from me, the pendulum swinging. That was the first one I bought at that fair.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then I have another one which has chakra colored crystals on it, which I hold kind of at the mid range.
Yeah.
And then I have this metal one, which I use for land clearing, because I will take a photo of somebody's land and use this one for the land clearing. And I always hold it very, very close to the end.
Yeah.
And this one's weighted metal, so has a different feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one here is metal as well. It's quite heavy.
Yeah.
And I like that. I love the feel of this one. It's my go-to pendulum when I test things. But I typically like to just grab the chain, put half of it in my hand, and then throw it over my finger. And then I'll just pinch it. I'll pinch it at the end and then hang. Or sometimes I'll let it fall over my finger. But most of the time I pinch it so as not to influence, so it has a more of a direct angle straight down. If I say show me yes. And sometimes it'll be a little swing. I'll say, okay, make it stronger. And you can see it makes it stronger as I do that. Or show me stronger. I find if I think it compared to even just saying it. So if I'm thinking yes, show me a yes. And I say, if I'm thinking show me a no, but if I actually say it out loud, show me a yes, it comes out a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Make it stronger, and it'll come out even a bigger swing.
Yeah. The very first time I picked up a pendulum, I was in a course. It was some kind of like energy. It wasn't a Reiki course, but some kind of energy course. And the instructor pulled out her pendulum, and I had no idea what a pendulum was. And she was doing something with it, maybe checking chakras or something. And I'm looking at her like, what is she doing? And she said, and then she said to me, she's like, do you want to try it? And I was like, I don't even know like what it is. Like, what are you doing with it? Right. So she sort of explained to me and she gave me hers. And she said, just, ask for a yes and a no. So I don't know. So I'm holding this thing and it gave me like the slightest move forward for a yes. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was like, well, you got to show me more than that. And then it just started swinging. And I thought, oh my God, this is like the best thing. And since then I've been like, I love using my pendulum. It just came naturally to me. But that's why, with the rods, it's like, it's not as easy. So it's a little bit too much work for me. I'd rather just keep it simple. But
now you put your hand underneath it
yeah,
as well when you do it. And I found it's actually, can you talk about that? Why you put the hand underneath?
I don't know why I do it. When I start, always start a session, I always ask over my hand. And I don't know if it's, I do find my energy strong. Like if I'm doing energy work, I have more, like I feel more energy in this hand. So I don't know if it's like a little bubble that I'm creating and I'm just asking for my yes and my no to see if I'm ready.
I kind of found a lot of people, because we've shared it with a lot of people, that it's almost like an energetic platform. And then you have this hand. So you have these two energy sources of the two hands. And now with the chain, instead of making a direct connection of it was touching the palm, by raising it above, it still has an energetic connection that seems to make it even stronger when you have your palm underneath. And I found that kind of works for especially people that are having difficulty with it. It's a great way for people that are just starting out. And we've shared that with a few people. I know that they teach it this way as well now, by using the palm. It just creates such a strong energetic connection. At least that's what I found, and I found it worked for a lot of people that are just starting out.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even think I knew I was doing that until someone said something to me. It's like, but this is how I don't know. This is just what naturally came to me as to how to start and get my yes and no. So, okay, what we talked about. So it doesn't matter, pick something that resonates with you. If you're new to this, you can try and see if you can get a yes and no if you're in the store and you're not sure, or use any of the other muscle testing techniques. I remember I was in a metaphysical store with my friend, and she wanted a new pendulum, and she wasn't sure. And of course, there's like so many in this particular store, and she didn't know which one to pick. And then I was getting kind of bored because I was finished. So I was like, okay, fine. So then I took my pendulum out and I said, okay, the pendulum that you need starts with the letter, I don't know, M or something, right? So then we're looking at what, all the pendulums that were out there, and I don't know what she picked, but it ended up being, I gave her a letter. So then that helped narrowed it down for her. And then a pendulum that started with that letter. And then she did the same thing. Show me yes, show me no, it worked, and then she took it home. So many ways that you can use muscle
you can then
testing.
go through the alphabet.
Yeah.
And even say, does the letter start with A, B, C, and just kind of see which one it goes and see which one it swings. And it's like, what's the first letter of my spirit guide's name? Is it an A? See, I got to know, right?
Yeah.
Is it a B? Is it a C? Right? And I'll say, is it an E? Because for channeling Eric, right?
Ah,
and
there
then
you go.
I get a big swing, right? So we can go through the alphabet too and find out each letter that goes. And I find using a tool like a pendulum is so much more stronger than even just tuning into clairs.
Yeah. And again, the same principles apply. Like you can easily just influence the pendulum by saying, you know what, I'll go back to vitamin C. This vitamin C is good for me. Well, I just physically said this vitamin C is good for me, right? Whereas you kind of have to do those same exercises, go inside and just be curious. That's the easiest way to kind of help people. It's like, just be curious about the answer. What is it? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Like, don't preform the answer in your head. And sometimes that's hard to do. Like, sometimes I'll be testing someone, let's say I'm testing an animal and I'm testing for food sensitivities. No. Well, I don't think animals should be eating wheat, right? So in my head, I'm saying, well, wheat for sure is going to come up, right? But that's just a thought in my head. But when I'm actually doing the testing and I'm curiously just waiting for an answer, not all dogs are sensitive to wheat.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Alyssa says, do you ever get a, oh,
Go ahead.
okay. Alyssa said, do you ever get a response for you don't need to know the answer or is unknown or the answer is in relation to free will choice?
Like neutral.
Yeah,
Yes,
so-
neutral.
Yeah, so that does happen. So just like I have a yes and a no, if my pendulum just does a circle, there's no answer.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer.
Mine swings back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No is straight down, circular is yes, and the other one is the other one.
Interesting. Yeah. My neutral or free will is a circle as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I get.
Yeah.
And even when you're doing chakras, if you held it over somebody's chakra, you can ask that question: like, is it rotating in the right direction? Is it rotating in reverse? Like you can actually just show me the flow of the chakra. You can hold it over. Mind you, I think with Reiki practitioners, you can just clear it and open it. But for people who are using pendulums, it's quite daunting, quite a long time, but it works.
Yeah, so some people will actually use a pendulum for healing. That's not how I use it, but it can be used to heal. It can be used to open chakras, harmonize chakras. So there's lots of uses of a pendulum. Yeah, it's just again what resonates with you, or what is the purpose of your use with that tool. So for me, it's finding answers, answering questions, things like that. That's how I use it.
Jim wants to know, is the yes, no from the pendulum coming from your higher self, or is it something more?
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that, because for me, I think, so for someone who's more intuitive, like, your guides, your angels, whatever is around you, I'm not that in tune with that. So for me, I'm assuming it's higher self, but maybe that's a better answer for you. I don't know. Question for you.
For me, as I tune into all these objects, they have their own spirit. And that's why the pendulum picks you. It's because every object has its own energy, its own spirit in a sense. So this is why you have a relationship with your angel card deck, with your pendulum, with your crystals. It's the relationship of that piece, and that's why you give it love. You take care of it. You treat it. So when I work with my pendulum, I'm also giving it love and appreciation and thanks. So this, and I tune in, like, this is definitely a different guide. This is not one of my spirit guides, one that works with me. But in terms of the pendulum, it sits with the energy in the pendulum, and we have a sacred relationship. So that's what I've always picked up, and what I continue to pick up right now, especially with this very big personality in this little pendulum. And it's a personality. You can ask it questions. You can have a relationship with it. It has a name. Like it's all the same things as a spirit guide, but it's within this object. Batteries run low.
One of the techniques I've seen is when the person who's using a pendulum sits at a table, and they'll prop their elbow on the table, and that then fixes the hand in a neutral position.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We needed to plug our laptop back in, so missed that, Doc.
So I famously find pendulums don't work for me, so I've given up on them. But somebody I know who does use a pendulum a lot, or used to, was taught to basically fix their elbow on a firm surface, and hold the hand in a neutral position by fixing it with your upper arm, and then they were fairly sure that it wasn't any intrinsic movement within the body. It was purely the pendulum. Now I don't know. It never works for me, frankly, so I don't know which is the right way. But it's just that sometimes, particularly when you're trying to show it to others who are skeptical, for example, our kids, they say, "Oh, come on, moving, your whole body's been moving," and obviously that may be part of the whole process anyway. But from a sort of a physics mathematical perspective, they will look for the whole body shifting and saying you're just amplifying the movements in the body, which may be part of the story anyway. But it's just to try to sort of neutralize all these other energies around you that enable you to prove to people that yes, it's actually the pendulum shifting and not you as such.
Yeah, June's saying I can change the answer from a yes to a no with just my thoughts. I think my mind is too active.
Yeah. So again, it comes to practice, right? So approach it with curiosity. Don't pre-answer. Just be excited about the answer. What's the answer? Is it yes? Is it no? What is it?
Yeah.
What else do I have about pendulums?
Yeah, I don't see any questions right
No
now,
questions.
Rita. No.
Okay, so you want to do a little practice? Does anybody have pendulums you want to practice with? We can
Sure.
Okay, so I'll show you some of my charts that I use. Is that okay? So I've got different charts that I use sometimes, and that helps me sometimes just get answers. So instead of just getting a yes or a no, I might. So of course you can use yes, no, and you can just use actually a piece of paper, a pen and piece of paper, and you can actually have the pendulum move towards the answer. Right, so maybe that works better for some. So if I'm, have my pendulum over top, and I, is my name Rita, then it goes to a yes. So okay, that maybe that works a little bit better. If maybe you feel like you're overthinking. So if I'm using, sorry, the sun here. Okay, so this one here with all the numbers. So I might use that to compare. Maybe different supplements, or to that would be a good one. So if I have 2 types of vitamin C with me, and I use my pendulum, right? So I've got my chart, and I'm going to ask my pendulum to move 1 through 10. And 0 would be not beneficial at all, right? So if I have my hand over my chart and it's like, okay, how beneficial is this particular vitamin C? And I get maybe like a 5 or a 6. So actually good. So I would say that's good. So anything 5 and above for me is I consider good or acceptable. And anything lower than that, not so good. And if anything goes into the negative, so the opposite direction, that's a big no. Right, so maybe something has aspartame in it, or some sort of artificial ingredient, and the body's very sensitive to it. I might get like a negative reaction. So it's like, I'll know for sure. You know what? That's not good. Or that I might do that with a food. So I might be testing, like for myself, like, oh, how good is would my body benefit from eating eggs? It's common sensitivity for a lot of people. I'm actually curious. I'm going to test myself on 1 through 10. So for me, eggs for me is a 0. So that's interesting because I don't eat eggs anyways. But
Picture of this.
let me take a picture. So you can use that for seeing a chart, whether. I don't like good or bad. Beneficial, non-beneficial, benefits, not benefiting. Good. And okay, so yeah, chart. So maybe some people would have better luck with their pendulum if they had actually charts in front of them. And it's just something you can just draw. You don't have to have. I think I just made these. A lot of these I just made up on my computer, and others I probably have borrowed from other practitioners. Um, we got feedback here. Oh, there you are. All right. Okay, so we were going to do some practice. So what should we practice? We can just practice yes or no's. So if you're new to pendulum, so find a height that is comfortable for you in terms of holding your pendulum. So again, you could hold it all the way up here and ask for a yes or no. If that doesn't work, maybe come down halfway, do the same thing, ask your pendulum to show you a yes and a no. If your pendulum is just not moving at all, you're just going to flick it, let it do its thing, and then ask, show me a yes and show me a no, because it will eventually finish off in a particular direction. So again, for me, my yes is forwards and backwards. And then you can just tell your pendulum to stop. So it will eventually stop. And then I'm going to say, well, show me a no. And it just, again, moves from left to right for me. And if it's a non-answer or not a good question, it might, I'm not ready to do the dowsing, or I'm not connected to the person that I'm dowsing. So I might just get a big circle and just, I either have to wait for it to give me an answer, or maybe, if it doesn't give me a yes or no, then that just means it's not the right time to be dowsing or asking questions. So let's practice that. So let's see what everybody gets for a yes and a no.
Show me. Oh, stop it. Show me a yes. Make it bigger. Show me a no.
Yours is like a circle. Or is it left
getting
to right?
there.
Oh, it's left
It's
to right.
getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, left to right.
Yeah.
Big no. Show me neutral. Neutral. And that's why I don't want to have it slung over my finger like this. I'd rather pinch it, because when I get a neutral, it makes it a lot more clear for it to swing around, or even to shift from let's say a yes straight back and forward to a side to side to a circle.
That's interesting, because I hold mine over. I let mine dangle over my finger.
So it's cool.
There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's what actually works for you.
That's cool. Love that. Love that. How about we try just a quick yes and no then? Okay. I've got an object here, and I'm going to ask the question. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So I have an object in my hand. Is the object in my hand contain a live organism? That'd be like a fruit or something like that. So is it a live organism? You know the answer.
I don't answer, but
Do it anyways. Show it on
I
the
did.
pendulum.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to show the answer.
Show it. No, no.
Okay. Oh, that's true.
Let's see. What do you say, Doc?
I got a yes.
You got a yes? Okay, good. And you can also try tuning into me and connect to the object I have in my hand, okay, why don't you show them, Rita?
Show
With the pendulum.
pendulum.
Is the object in my hand a live organism?
Okay, so wait to connect with you. Also right beside you. So.
Yeah, and she knows. So it's yeah. So she was right. It was a no. I'm gonna pick another object now. And okay, so the object in front of me, in my right hand, is it use your pendulums, use your muscle testing,
Intuition.
intuition. The object in my right hand is predominantly colored in yellow.
I'm gonna try my finger rubbing. I got a very definite.
ECT. Well done, Alyssa. And it was not. Yeah. So now back to the object in my right hand now. This new object, is it yellow in color? Wait a couple of seconds. Yeah, Jenny's internet wasn't really that great today. They said, no more. No more. I'm not going to spend too much time with this. We're going to move on pretty quickly. Awesome. Saul got a yes. The object in my hands, is it yellow in color? Ooh, got another yes. I don't know what you. I don't know if we can. Yeah, Doc?
I got to know as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the object is red. Mind you, the pages are a little bit yellowing, maybe. So it could be that. You might have picked up on that as well. So again, no right or wrong. It really is just back to the practice.
It's practice.
That was awesome. Thanks, Rita. So, Doc, why don't you take us out? We're going to be talking about this, but if anyone wants to work with Rita, Rita works with these guides, these pendulums. She works with people. She mainly does a lot of animal testing and people testing to see if they're in balance. Usually the things that a lot of the traditional ways going to a vet, they can't really diagnose things. And it's to get a second opinion energetically. And Rita works with people globally on this as well. So she definitely uses the pendulums all the time, uses the dowsing in her practice. Yeah, and that's it. So, Doc, what's going on next week then?
Right. So next week we're going to have more practice sessions. I hope you can hear me because the dogs are going nuts downstairs.
Sorry.
Joining.
Yeah, we're watching this little one. Yeah.
It's synchrony. And so if folks could join us again next week and bring your pendulums along, we could give it a shot and see what we get, if that's okay. So more practice, a bit more fun, and just see how it goes. That's hopefully for next week.
Yeah. And then next month when Rita's back, we're now going to be applying the pendulum to being able to test our pets and people around us. So the entire episode will be about actually putting this practice into practical. So over the next month, we'll do lots of practice. So join us next week to practice, as Doc said, and then when Rita comes back, we'll be able to apply it working with animals the next time. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, super exciting. So we all have our lovely pets. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And let me see. Doc, do you have anything going on coming up for you in the next little bit?
I'm definitely going to get these videos done. I'm now a lot better. I'm not coughing as much, so hopefully I can get those nailed for next week. But that's about as far as I can see at this point in time. How about yourself?
For myself, there'll be tomorrow on Rachel's channel, on her private Facebook group. We have a practice session on her page where we're going to do a little bit of practice with whatever that would be, but spiritual practice tomorrow. Friday is channeling Eric and for Archangel Guidance on Friday. And I've just, for my Patreon group, I just finished recording the physical movements of myself. So I'm going to be doing this every couple of weeks. And I just finished recording that, read out yesterday to do that. So I'll be pasting the video up this week. The work that I'm doing for the past couple. Yeah, we're back again. So with that, before all of our internet goes completely is gone, we're going to say thank you, guys. This was always such a real treat. Bye, everybody. Much love, and thank you again.
Cheerio.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.